you. I thank you for this Shabbat that you've given us, Father Yah. I thank you for waking us up this morning, breathing life into our lungs, Father Yah, allowing us understanding and wisdom, Father Yah, in this time and discernment. Thank you, Father Yah, for the knowledge that you've given us through these other nations, Father Yah, putting out this information on what we're dealing with, Father Yah. Thank you for the knowledge, and allow it to edify us, to prepare us, to strengthen us, to give us the insight, Father Yah, on how these people are trying to kill us, Father Yah. We thank you for this word. We thank you for this fellowship. In the name of your Son, Yahushua HaMashiach. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right. So, Rick, can you play that first, the Trump video for me, please?
Before you do that, set that up first before you start playing.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think he already got it set up.
Just set it up. Like, what is it about what we're talking about?
So basically, this is Trump talking about how the black folk the numbers have gone crazy, skyrocketed, because of what, the diseases and the low health care. And so basically they're changing the narrative is what this is about. They're changing the narrative on how we all of a sudden are dying in these large numbers, and we see what they're trying to do here. So that's what this video is about. It's a short video. It talks about that. So yeah, go ahead and play that.
There's a real problem, and it's showing up very strongly in our data on the African American community, and we're doing everything in our power to address this challenge. It's a tremendous challenge. It's terrible. And provide support to African American citizens of this country who are going through a lot, but it's been disproportional. They're getting hit very, very hard. In fact, while we have Tony here, I'd like to maybe have you come up and address that one, and then I'll continue. But if you could address that, it would be great, Tony, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. We have a particularly difficult problem of an exacerbation of a health disparity. We've known literally forever that diseases like diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and asthma are disproportionately afflicting the minority populations, particularly the African Americans. Unfortunately, when you look at the predisposing conditions that lead to a bad outcome with coronavirus, the things that get people into ICUs that require intubation and often lead to death, they are just those very comorbidities that are unfortunately disproportionately prevalent in the African American population. So we're very concerned about that. It's very sad. It's nothing we can do about it right now except to try and give them the best possible care to avoid those complications. And I think you're going to have some pretty accurate numbers over the next.
Hey, can you pause that real quick?
Pause it out.
Yo,
hey.
Come on now. Hold on now.
Let's hold it. Stop the press.
We can talk right there now. Come on now.
All right, let's talk about it.
That's ridiculous.
That is damn ridiculous.
I mean, like, that just disturbs your soul, your whole soul, all the soul.
Funny thing,
come on,
man,
go ahead.
It said LA Times, right? I just saw something about California, how they were saying, somebody was correcting. Like, they're trying to say that it's like black people the most is getting this. We were in California, their data shows, this is like March. This is March, maybe early April of this year, that 6% of the people who test positive are African American. 3% of them die. 13 or 14% Asian, as far as like the cases, and about 30%. Who were they saying? It wasn't Latinos, and the other 50%, they're saying like is either Caucasian or just not being tested. So say what you want, man, but like we're actually in the minority of the people who are both dying from this and catching cases of it, according to California's records and California's data. So for LA Times to show up in front of that liar's face while he's pushing that out, we see your horns.
Hey, man, so my thing is like this. What rubbed me wrong that just shook my soul was like, it's disproportionately affecting the African American community. Like, so now it's not just minorities, it's not people of color, it's African Americans.
Right, right.
And the thing about it is this little dude talking about we want to make sure that we provide them the best preventative care possible. Bro, you know what that means, man.
You know what that means.
Vaccine and death.
Hey, listen, y'all Negroes, come on through. We got something for you. Y'all the biggest threat to society because y'all just rampant running with it. So we got something for you. Come on through. We're going to jab you up real quick. You're going to be all right.
Exactly.
Yep, come get this vaccine.
Man.
For real.
Hey, man, play that again. Play that again. Play that video again. We'll play it through. Play it again.
This is a real problem, and it's showing up very strongly in our data on the African American community, and we're doing everything in our power to address this challenge. It's a tremendous challenge. It's terrible. And provide support to African American citizens of this country who are going through a lot, but it's been disproportional. They're getting hit very, very hard. In fact, while we have Tony here, I'd like to maybe have you come up and address that one, and then I'll continue. But if you could address that, it would be great, Tony, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. We have a particularly difficult problem of an exacerbation of a health disparity. We've known literally forever that diseases like diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and asthma are disproportionately afflicting the minority populations, particularly the African Americans. Unfortunately, when you look at the predisposing conditions that lead to a bad outcome with coronavirus, the things that get people into ICUs that require intubation and often lead to death, they are just those very comorbidities that are unfortunately disproportionately prevalent in the African American population. So we're very concerned about that. It's very sad. It's nothing we can do about it right now except to try and give them the best possible care to avoid those complications. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Tony, I think you're going to have some pretty accurate numbers over the next few days, right? But they are they're very nasty numbers.
That's crazy, yeah.
I wanted to follow up. You talked about African Americans and how they've been disproportionately affected by the coronavirus.
Seems to be, unfortunately.
Do you plan on requiring the CDC, any federal agencies or state agents, public places doing tests, and private companies doing tests to collect that data on the race of the people being tested and the race of the people being treated and the outcome?
Well, we're just seeing tremendous evidence that African Americans are affected at a far greater percentage number than other citizens of our country, because we're dealing with our country. Now we're looking at it from a worldwide standpoint. Tony Fauci is looking at it very strongly, but these numbers have started to come out, and they're very strong and they're pretty obvious. I mean, you're talking about.
You will release that.
Would you like to talk about that for a second, please?
I think one of the things that we're going to be doing with our Medicare data is to do that analysis. We're going to look back a month or so, and, related type illnesses going forward. We now have a code for coronavirus, so we can actually stratify by demographic information, so we can look at race as a factor. We can also look at
they can screw these numbers up.
Are as well. So we'll be providing that data very shortly, but we will be doing the analysis.
We're working on that very hard. This is something that's come up over the last, I hadn't heard this, and then over the last few days, this has come up more and more. And I don't mean by a little bit. I mean, many times. It's a real thing. Now, we want to find cures. We want to find therapeutics. We want to find vaccines, because that will solve everybody's problem. But why is it that the African American community is so much, numerous times more than everybody else, and we want to find a reason to it? And
for real,
Dr.
Fauci,
Seema, both of them and others are working on this, and they're going to have very good, I would say in less than a week, I think you're going to have very good statistics. A couple of days.
Something specific to those communities that are being hard hit, those black communities.
Well, we're helping them a lot. But what's happening is we're trying to find out why is it that it's 3 and 4 times. Now, maybe that's not going to be the final number, but why is it 3 or 4 times more so for the black community as opposed to other people? It doesn't make sense.
One thing he's very good at.
And we're going to have statistics over the next probably 2 to 3 days, okay? I just want to make a brief comment to get back to the discussion about the health disparities in the African American community, because it really is very important. And the reason I want to bring it up is because I couldn't help sitting there reflecting about
I'm laughing out of anger though. I can't.
crises like we are
Yeah,
now.
I'm straddling the fence between both of them.
It really does have ultimately shine a very bright light on some of the real weaknesses and foibles in our society. And as some of you know, the greater proportion of my professional career has been defined by HIV/AIDS. And if you go back then, during that period of time when there was extraordinary stigma, particularly against the gay community, and it was only when the world realized how the gay community responded to this outbreak with incredible courage and dignity and strength and activism, that I think that really changed some of the stigma against the gay community, very much so. I see a similarity here because health disparities have always existed for the African American community.
Hold on, y'all.
But here again, with the
Wow. Hey, you see what he building up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we finna have to walk around in public with all these
I'm
stigmas
trying to
and be
hold on.
ready to defend ourselves.
Bruh.
Wow, man.
They
So
create
now we
these
genetically
narratives.
predisposed to disease, right? We genetically predisposed to disease. Why is it that the studies up until now are showing that A positive blood or A type blood tend to be the majority of cases? There are some O, but like they're saying that they're least affected by A. As far as I've known, I'm not saying these are absolute. This is just one not even 40-year-old dude's experience. But the majority of people I've met with A blood are Caucasian or Asian.
Yeah.
The majority of people I've met, or I should say black people who have confided what their blood type is O. I don't know nobody other than that one Yahi dude, like, who ain't some type of O, that's as far as black people. So up until now, the honest research is showing that actually, even in the United States, we are among the least affected. Granted, the videos coming out, how I survived and how it was for me, I would say like half of those are black people. That's to preset this narrative.
Right. You see what
you
they
gotta
doing.
realize, right, when this first kicked off, what was being said, oh, ain't hardly no blacks getting it. Ain't hardly no blacks getting it. Next thing you know, you got next thing you know, you got celebrities. Oh, I got it. Idris Elba and some other people, all of a sudden they got it. Showing no symptoms, showing nothing. We ain't heard nothing from them.
Chilling in that mansion with a cup in their hand.
Yeah, chilling. Chilling.
Hey,
I feeling more right.
Exactly.
Now they trying to switch the narrative. No fuck.
No, I remember
it's affecting them more than
Go
us.
ahead.
That was it.
Somebody was trying to talk.
I'm done.
No, it was somebody else. No, so I did see something about they was operating on dummies or something. Did you guys catch that? They had dummies in the hospital. Man, come on, man. They doing the most, man, with this, man. They doing the most with this. Play that or show the picture of the Chinese, the black folk that got kicked out of the China.
Oh man, them videos hard to watch.
No, this is actually a picture. So I just got the picture. I didn't get the video. But so you see what's going on here. African community targeted in China virus crackdown. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So they kicked them out over them being black, thinking that they had coronavirus. And that's where this is headed. And that's what I've been talking about. They're trying to create this narrative where you see a black person, they automatically got it. You got to turn them in. You know, there's a black dude, he got the corona. You know, go get him. You know what I'm saying? That's where we're headed.
I feel you.
Where it's headed. Look at the trend. You're right. Just yesterday, I heard that.
Hey Rick, check your microphone cable.
Yeah, it's staticky again.
That's
what it looked like it's going though. Call the police. I got a family of 4 black walking down the sidewalk. I think they got corona. I'm gonna call them.
Right.
And man, they call us for everything else.
Right.
They do.
So I see them turning everybody against us. I mean, we used to everybody coming at us, you know what I'm saying? But this time they coming at us. We on the spotlight. Who they giving the vaccine first? The black folk, because we the high risk, you know? Yeah. So, and that's what we got to, what's that?
For one, is my mic sound good?
Oh, yeah, that's where we headed. that's what I'm trying to show you guys today. This is where we
at.
Yeah,
this is what we have to deal with it, man. It's all good. Just be aware of that.
So just listen better. Just trying to hear y'all louder with these headphones.
Okay. Show that other picture with the 5G.
Hey, hold on. Rick got something he wanted to say. Rick was gonna say something.
All right. Hold on.
I forgot. Go ahead. No, I mean, literally, I'm gonna have to sit here for like 5-10 seconds to remember what I was gonna say. My mind is that,
Oh, you good.
overactive.
So now I want to start talking about the 5G and the connection with 5G and the coronavirus. You know what I'm saying? So I had to steal that from you, Maury Dwayne.
You robbed me. Nah, I got you.
I had to get that from Maury Dwayne's page. So he posted that, and it is literally the same symptoms. So COVID-19 is the same symptoms as the EMF poisoning. And EMF poisoning is, what is that?
Electromagnetic frequency.
Yep. Thank you. Okay, so now this next video that I want to show you guys is actually talking about more in the whole 5G and how it's killing our bodies and it's destroying us, our cells. So that's something that I want to show. It's a little long, but we may stop it or whatever and just kind of talk about it. But Ray, can you play that for me if you could? So yeah, it's really good. A lot of information in it.
It's important to understand what the 5G is doing and what they say it's doing. We're told on the IEEE beamforming document that this technology cooked your eyes like eggs in World War II. And you all need to understand these are military weapons. These are assault frequencies. If you garner nothing more than that, that's what you need to know. It's microwave radiation warfare, is what this is.
Full screen real quick.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the National Press Club Federal Communications Commission Chairman, Tom Wheeler.
It's an honor to be here at the National Press Club. The first generation wireless 1G was voice. The second generation 2G allowed both talk and text. Third generation, 3G, the internet, in a limited way. And today's technology, 4G, completed that digital migration. But if anyone tells you that they know the details of what 5G is going to become, run the other way.
This video is brought to you by the number 5 and the letter G. And pretty soon, everything else will be too.
I have to tell people 5G is a killer. I'm Mark Steele. Anybody who hasn't heard me. I'm a weapons systems head-up display expert. I'm one of the leading experts in the world. I've actually broke cover in relation to this. And the reason I became an expert was to invent them. What I'm going to say to you today, do not believe a single word I say. Not one. I want you to do your own research. You'll find it's absolutely terrifying.
You got your body card? Oh, good lad. Right, because I can talk to that. This 5G roll-up is a weapon system. I've got a letter and was sent to the government because I know about weapon systems more than anything other.
In Britain,
in a place in the north of England called Gateshead. A scientist there called Mark Steele has been very publicly and actively warning people about the effects of LED streetlights, which he says in Gateshead are emitting now 5G.
Right, what's the crack? Hey, lads. I'm just having a word with these Gateshead council workers about replacing these transmitters on these lights that are causing harm and assaulting the community. This is an existential threat to the economy, to the environment, and humanity.
If these transmitters are everywhere, then everyone's at risk, surely.
There's a lot of confusion about what 5G is. The G stands for generation. So you started off with the first transmitter system.
Back in the 1980s.
In the 80s, yes. You had 1G, then you had 2G. And as the generations moved on, you started to see more complex signal systems, cleverer pieces of antenna designs, etc., etc. So the whole thing became more data, quicker downloads, etc., etc. However, 5G is something completely different.
Right, let's get a breakdown. Let's tell the people what this really is. This is the 5G transmission device. Thinking heck, that's a hell of a beast, that, isn't it? These are the uninsurable transmitters. Just get a good look at that, guys, because obviously I know there's quite a few experts who want to see more detail about the transmitters and the chipsets. Just have a good look, boys. This is the control management system masquerade. There's an antenna there, you see that? What is this phased array antenna here? What's that? This is for phased array, alright? As you'll see, it's got a driver, it's got some chip there. It's one chip. Look at the chipsets on this. This is your dystopian world. What did Gateshead Council say? This is what I think. That I send some of these educated fools back to school, or just send them to prison, whichever's the easiest. I think prison's probably better. Alright, that's 5G, guys. That's 5G hardware.
You must consider the whole part played by electricity in nature. Human beings cannot go on developing in the same way in an atmosphere permeated on all sides by electric currents and radiations. It has an influence on the whole development of man. This life of men in the midst of electricity, notably radiant electricity, will presently affect them in such a way that they will no longer be able to understand the news which they receive so rapidly. The effect is to damp down their intelligence. Such effects are already seen today. Even today, you can notice how people understand the things that come to them with far greater difficulty than they did a few decades ago. Rudolf Steiner, 1924. Rudolf Steiner noted that in 1924, since then our atmosphere has become far more permeated with electric waves of widely diverse types. There's no doubt now that electric waves, electromagnetic forces, cause direct biological effects. There's thousands of peer-reviewed papers on this subject. There's no doubt about it. But what are these effects? How are they affecting us? What can we do about it? We're now at a stage where we're putting in what's called 5G, which is a special type of broadcast for high-density information transfers. And it turns out that this is the same frequency bands that are used in crowd dispersal weaponry.
5G, first and foremost, is densification. So it's significantly more transmitters in close proximity to the human, and it is also a sophisticated, illegal, unlawful transmitter. What I mean by that is it is a high-gain dielectric lens antenna, and what that allows 5G transmitters to do is to 3D map its environment in your home. The 868 megahertz frequency is specific for battlefield interrogation systems, so sub-gigahertz. It allows the signal to travel through concrete brickwork with ease, and it can actually data gather. It is a target acquiring system. Phased array is basically radar off the battlefield. It is extremely good at identifying targets and being able to lock on to targets. And not only that, it can specifically target you as an individual. So any judge sitting on an interesting case, let's say, any lawyer, any barrister, anybody doing any work that is potentially controversial, your life could be at threat. So the antenna design that you currently have on top of these LED streetlights, masquerading as a control management system, is basically battlefield interrogation equipment. The first phased array unit was actually called Mammoth, used by the Germans during the Second World War to identify Allied aircraft. Obviously things have moved on significantly since then.
Well, I joined the Royal Navy in 1960, and I specialised in microwave warfare. Radar, obviously, which uses microwave, but they don't just teach you radar, they teach you all about microwaves and other uses. So I understood about microwave warfare and how it can damage people, how it can harm people. Microwaves then were used as weapons, as they are today. It is a perfect stealth weapon, and when governments don't like a group of people, for instance, the ladies who protest at Greenham Common in England about the American missile base they camped, they were microwaved. We microwaved Catholics in Northern Ireland to make them sick. It goes on all over the world, and it's a weapon that you don't know you're being targeted, because the dose is very, very low, which is actually more dangerous than a high dose. It's very, very low, and it may take a year or two, but you can cause neurological damage and cancers with low-level microwaves, and you can make all your opponents sick. It's a perfect weapon for a government.
Our impulses are being redirected. We are living in an artificially induced state of consciousness that resembles sleep. Their intention to rule rests with the annihilation of consciousness. We have been lulled into a trance. They have made us indifferent to ourselves, to others. We are focused only on our own gain. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered. Keep us asleep, keep us selfish, keep us sedated.
Almost immediately, I had neighbours knocking on the door, talking about children bleeding from the nose. I had images posted on Facebook. And one neighbour in particular came to my door and mentioned the fact that since the LED street lighting had been installed, she was bleeding from the nose every single night. I thought it was unbelievable. However, I spoke to another neighbour who lived not far from the first lady who mentioned this, and she also confirmed that since the LED street lighting had been installed, she also had started to develop nosebleeds and had never had nosebleeds before in her life. That then put me on a journey to investigate. I measured microwave radiation levels from the transmitters on top of the LED streetlights. The basic 868 megahertz, it was significantly higher than the current Council of Europe 1815 resolution, which is a maximum of 600 millivolts. I've measured up to over 3,000 millivolts.
5 to 6 times higher than the guidelines.
Significantly higher than the current Council of Europe 1815 resolution, which states that 200 millivolts should be the maximum. The Bioinitiative report states that it should be significantly less than that. So we've got the Council of Europe, that's, you know, the international criminal courts are stating that, you know, the learned judges have said that 200 millivolts and I'm measuring in bedrooms in Gateshead, minimum 600 and up to 4,000.
Does this mean that in 2020, 2021, when 5G is destined to roll out globally, that you're going to get those kind of readings everywhere all the time?
Everywhere all the time.
Worse than that?
Worse than that.
Yes, 5G will connect the Internet of everything. If something can be connected, it will be connected in the 5G world. Hundreds of billions of microchips connected in products from pill bottles to plant waterers, requiring massive deployment of small cells. We won't wait for the standards. Now, to make this work, the 5G build-out is going to be very infrastructure intensive. We must reject the notion that the 5G future will be the sole provenance of urban areas. The 5G revolution will touch all corners, and that's damn important. The interconnected world of the future will be the result of decisions we must make today.
Before us today is Senate Bill 637 and Senate Bill 894, the former by Senator Hugh and the latter by Senator Knopf. We're going to invite the first four witnesses in support of the legislation, and that would be John Jones with Sprint, David Lewis and Andy Emerson with AT&T, Neil Krevda with Verizon, and Frank Alcavetti Jr. with T-Mobile.
So be straight with me. Is it true?
It could be.
No, well, very few
cases.
Proof
there
at
was
all.
an unfortunate
really
incident out in Iowa.
Look, gentlemen, practice these words in front of the mirror. Although we are constantly exploring the subject, currently there is no direct evidence that links cell phone usage to brain cancer.
I'm Sharon Goldberg. I'm an internal medicine physician. I've practiced medicine for 21 years, and my background is mostly academic, internal medicine, hospital-based, clinical research, and medical education.
I'm a certified Microsoft small business specialist. I've worked on space station designing the cabling system for the airlock module, where I was responsible for EMI/EMC analysis, which is electromagnetic interference, electromagnetic compatibility.
I am a professor in the Department of Epidemiology, Biostatistics, and Occupational Health, and I teach there both toxicology and health effects of electromagnetic radiation.
My name is Daphne Tachover, and I'm the founder of an organization called We Are the Evidence. We are an organization that represents the many adults and unfortunately many children who have become very sick from wireless technology radiation.
There seems to be a couple false Easter eggs being put out there right now. I want to make sure we dispel that right off the gate.
The effects of wireless on health scientifically are very, very clear.
So it's always pushed back to the definition of an acceptable level of radiation. And that's what this is, by the way. This is about radiation.
Wireless radiation has biological effects, period.
My name is Dr. Angie Kolbeck. I've been reviewing the studies showing the impacts of wireless radiation on our health, and there are now thousands of studies showing the following adverse health impacts to wireless radiation: cancer, oxidative damage, DNA damage, DNA failure.
Things like memory, dizziness, anxiety, brain fog.
Headaches, nosebleeds, cognitive problem, exhaustion.
We have evidence of DNA damage, cardiomyopathy, which is the precursor of congestive heart failure.
Short and long-term memory loss, decreased attention spans, lower reaction times, even involuntary contractions of muscles causing misalignments of spines and jaws.
Breast cancer. We suddenly have breast cancer in women who have no DNA predisposition.
Disrupted immune function and change in stress proteins. Reproductive and fertility effects.
There are dozens and dozens of studies that show beyond any doubt what this radiation is doing to our sperm. Now, if you take the cell phone out of your pocket, the sperm will recuperate within 3 to 4 months. What would not recuperate would be the damage to the DNA of the sperm. That is irreparable. The wife of the ex-governor of Indiana was diagnosed with glioblastoma. Same brain tumor Ted Kennedy had and John McCain had. Did you look at John McCain's scar? This is a cell phone brain tumor. LeBron James, one of our sports people, had a salivary gland tumor. That is another cell phone tumor. You didn't hear about it because immediately after that was discovered, he was paid by Samsung to become their spokesperson.
We are seeing increases in brain tumors. We're seeing increases in Alzheimer's. We're seeing increases in all of the neurotransmitter diseases, ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, Parkinson's. These are all disease systems that are known to be associated with low-level energy exposures.
We talk about 24/7, around-the-clock exposure, wherever you are and your whole body. You never get away from it. And it seems from our studies that maybe your immune system can cope with for a time, but it will deteriorate. Then the irradiation will definitely damage cells at a deeper level, and the question is what will then happen.
These are out of peer-reviewed papers, so these are not just hypochondriacs thinking that they're doing it. We're having real problems with this.
This is no longer a subject for debate when you look at PubMed and the peer-reviewed literature. These effects are seen in all life forms: plants, animals, insects, microbes. So 5G is not a conversation about whether or not these biological effects exist. They clearly do.
There is scientifically evidence that is so strong that you can be certain that the standards used by the FCC to manage health effects are wrong.
We need to start measuring how much radiation are people being exposed to before we roll out 5G. There are 4 kinds of electromagnetic fields that we know are harmful to human health. So radio frequency radiation, magnetic fields, dirty electricity, and electric fields, okay? Our exposure, any given person, and all humans are affected by EMFs. What is our exposure in a day? It's not one cell phone. It's cell phones, it's multiple wireless networks, it's smart meters, it's cell towers. It's this sandwich, and it all adds up.
The data we're going to look at are all published science, testing results, or public standards. At the bottom end of the radiation scale of what's called power density, or signal strength, is the minimum level at which cell phones will work, which was found to be 0.2 billionths of a microwatt per centimeter squared. Pine needles were found to age prematurely at 0.000027. At short-term exposures of 0.05, children aged 8 to 17 experienced headache, irritation, concentration difficulties, and behavioral problems. 0.1 is the biobiology or building biology guideline for extreme concern. 1.0 produced sperm DNA fragmentation and a decrease in sperm viability in vitro. Also at 1.0, the science shows the following bodily effects can occur: headaches, dizziness, fatigue, insomnia, chest pain, difficulty breathing, and indigestion. 2.5 saw altered calcium metabolism in heart muscle cells. 4.0, changes in the hippocampus affecting brain memory and learning. And at 6.0, DNA damage in cells. So where are smart meters on this list? Electrical Power Institute in December 2010 measured a single Itron smart meter with pulses up to 7.93 microwatts per centimeter squared. Our own testing indicated approximately 8.0 with 1 meter. These tests are at a close distance, approximately 1 foot away from the meter, but an infant's crib can be just as close on the other side of the wall where the meter or bank of meters are installed. Even though there are all these known health effects at levels far lower, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, and Luxembourg see fit to set the standard at 9.5. And China, Poland, and Russia, 10.0. This is the same level at which behavior has been altered, producing reflexes of avoidance following 30-minute exposures. A room of 12 smart meters, very common and even a conservative number in an apartment building, tested at 19.8 microwatts per centimeter squared. This is hundreds of times higher than levels which clearly indicate harmful effects. So how can utilities and governments get away with forcing these devices on everyone? This is how. In Canada and the US and several other civilized countries, the safety limit is set at 600 to 1,000 microwatts per centimeter squared. This so-called safety limit is literally tens of thousands of times higher than levels which are known to damage health, according to peer-reviewed published science.
Faster, better, more reliable internet. That's the promise of 5G technology, but there is also the peril. Health hazards associated with radio frequency that is higher also and requires more transmitters and antennas. And the stark, simple fact is the health hazards are unknown and unstudied. And that is a sign of neglect and disregard on the part of the Federal Communications Commission that seems unacceptable. There have been no answers so far. The FCC basically has said everything's fine, but in order to reach a conclusion about the health and safety of this new technology, we need facts.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for having this hearing. 5G, as you well know, also uses higher frequency waves that don't travel as far and will rely on a network of hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of small cell sites. And the question then is, are there any health implications, any public safety implications to those additional sites that are likely to be located close to homes, schools, workplaces, and closer to the ground? Correct?
Correct, Senator. Yes.
So my question for you, particularly Mr. Gillen and Mr. Perry, how much money has the industry committed to supporting additional independent research? I stress independent research. Is that independent research ongoing? Has any been completed? Where can consumers look for it? And we're talking about research on the biological effects of this new technology.
Thank you, Senator. I think, thank you for your focus on the issue. Safety is paramount, and as you alluded to, we rely on the expert agencies, rely on the findings of the FDA and others as to the requirements to keep all of us safe. There are no industry-backed studies, to my knowledge right now. Happy to visit with you as to what opportunities you think there needs to be more studies, and we're always for more science. We also rely on what the scientists tell us.
So essentially, the answer to my question, how much money? Zero.
I can certainly follow up with you, Senator. To my knowledge, there's no active studies being backed by industry today.
Anybody else know of industry commitments to back research, fund it, support it, to ascertain scientifically the health effect?
No, I'm not aware of any.
So there really is no research ongoing. We're kind of flying blind here, so far as health and safety is concerned. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're a trained medical professional.
Yes.
We don't have one on the panel. What are we to make of the American Cancer Society, for example, telling us there's no evidence of harmful product?
Many of these organizations have conflicts of interest.
Very briefly, if you can, what do you mean by conflict of interest?
One of the first things that you teach residents is that you always have to look at the funding.
There's a tremendous amount of sponsored research by people who are hired to do studies to find no effect. And that's plagued this field in a number of countries.
The radio frequency radiation work that we did was supported by Motorola. The relationship was really very cordial and very stress-free, but only up until we started generating data. These folks were very, very upset and began to talk about how are they going to handle this. What sort of spin can we put on this? What can we expect from this? And from that point on, the relationship changed. What we saw was that Motorola began to exert more and more control over the work, telling us what to do, telling us how to write abstracts, what to say in the abstracts, what to say in the papers, how to do the work. No, don't do this. Yes, do it this way. This is unacceptable. I had completed our study of DNA damage, and I submitted the final report to Motorola. They simply weren't willing to accept my interpretation of my study, my evaluation of my study, my knowledge of science at that point, and tried to urge me not to publish the study.
Did you hear about people coming to you as far as having complaints about illness?
We were made aware of health complaints following installation of smart meters, and we wanted to verify this using our field work. So I measured the field of about 30 different people while they stood 1 foot in front of the smart meter, and in every single case, the human energy field was obliterated as they stood in front of the smart meter.
Wow. All right, so we can open up the floor. Let's open the floor up. What do y'all thoughts?
Hey, man, that's crazy.
Real quick, what kind of energy did he say was obliterated when they stood in front of the smart meter? Did he say human energy?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy though. I didn't even know that those smart meters were doing that. We're putting off that radiation. You know, meters.
Honestly, me either until a couple days ago.
The smart meters was like a question of why. It like when you look at it, you're like, no, this doesn't make any sense. Like now you want to attach this thing to my house, and if you remember when it first came out, I want to say what 2015, 2016 time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's around the time.
Yeah.
They were burning folks' house down. Remember that?
Yeah.
And folks were like, why is my house burning down? They were like, sure, you're bad.
Right.
It's your responsibility. You're accountable for your home. It's like, y'all put this thing on my house and it burnt my house down. And they're like, oh, no, you know, sorry. Good luck. We're only the utility company. You know what I mean? But you didn't have no say in what they put on your house.
Right.
And just not even thinking about the health aspect of it, your bill oftentimes got higher.
Right.
You're like, what y'all doing? And it didn't even match your usage.
Mine
but
does.
They
right
were
now.
adjusting things.
Yeah.
So
mine is $100 a month right now, bro, for one person in a 800 square foot apartment.
Nah, man.
Right.
Your toaster oven going overtime?
I have no microwave. I don't own a television. You know what I mean? I have no smart devices.
Yeah, man.
Hey, man. Hey, we about to start breaking out those Dixie cups. You know, make a call in that Dixie cup. You know,
hey,
just about ready to throw yourself on.
Man, there's natural minerals that you guys can grab at the local, like Black Rock Minerals, that disrupt the flow of the frequency that the 5G waves travel on. Shungite and orgonite are two good ones, and I may have to go invest in some. Because they make smart meter covers out of those different. I ordered one, and when it gets here, I'll share with everybody.
Okay, all praises.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Just open it up. That's where we at, man. I just wanted to show you guys that. I'm not gonna play the whole video. It's like an hour. So the video more talks about how the 5G is getting put into school and how it's affecting our kids. And then they show the graph of how the kid's brain is like getting, you know, the tumors and, you know, so they talk about that toward the end. But there was another video, but I can't find. Somebody took it down. It was mainly talking about how the 5G, it disrupts your signals inside you. So that's what's causing us to be sick and have these flu-like symptoms. It's the frequency is disrupting your body, and that's why people are coming up sick and they can't breathe. It's the 5G that's go ahead.
It erodes the walls of your cells. The membrane that protects the nucleus, it erodes those walls.
It does.
That can't be good.
And it affects your body's hemoglobin's ability to process. It messes up the amount of oxygen in the air. Then it disrupts your body's hemoglobin's ability to absorb the oxygen that it does take in. So it's like
Pulmonary disease.
multifaceted. Right. Right. And a lot of people don't know this, man, but what we look at as viruses in our body, it's a lot of times a natural reaction because the body has found some kind of foreign substance in there. And the body produces things in order to expel those things from your body. You know what I mean?
It's a reaction.
Yeah.
It's a reaction. Right, right. So these millimeter waves hitting us the wrong way are going to cause a reaction. So it's like creating it's problem, reaction, solution times a million.
So when you look at 5G, right, it's one of those things where people don't even recognize this until you do the research. And like, I want Elia a little bit later when you're ready to tell about the conversation we had a little bit earlier.
Yes.
That's crazy. And I got one with my wife at a location. I'll tell you about that in a minute too. But with the 5G, people don't understand that Wuhan, China was one of the first places to roll out 5G.
It was the test ground,
And they flipped that switch. And so like, if you look at what imagery from the regular people, what came out of China, and then how this so-called COVID-19 is affecting us here in America, it's slightly different. So what kind of freaked everybody out was they saw Chinese folks laid out unconscious on the street. Just tombstoned out. You had them where it was the dude, the security guard, whatever, sitting at the terminal. He was like, and he killed over. You know what I mean? You got folks spazzing out and stuff like that. That's scary. You like, what the hell is this thing? Is you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Didn't nobody know what it is. Everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. And then they came up with a story talking about, it's from the seafood market. Yes, so on and so forth. But it's like, there's people that had symptoms, which likely had autoimmune issues anyway. They already had a suppressed immune system anyway. So they were going out pretty quick, where they were getting the dry cough. They were getting the fever because their body's trying to react to what the hell is going on. I'm experiencing things in my body that's making my signals go haywire. So then you got a situation where their lungs start to get inflamed. They're not able to even absorb the oxygen in their lungs because it's getting obliterated. And they're tombstoning out. And they're getting all this damage. That's also the reason why you have people that were trying to flee from their country to go other places.
Yeah.
Like, I got to get it out of here. Listen, I will pay you whatever. I will do whatever. Get me on a plane. I'm going to Africa. So you had them Chinese folks jumping on a plane, going to Kenya, going to Ethiopia, wherever they could go to, South Africa, wherever they could go to get a hot ride on to. They was like, I'm out. I got to get them out of here. Some people were still experiencing the damage, like it was too late. Like their bodies is already damaged, they too far gone. Other folks didn't even have any symptoms until they got so starved of oxygen that they just tombstone, boom. So this 5G is giving people the symptoms. Now, I do believe that there is a coronavirus.
Yes.
Okay. An actual, like a flu-like illness. I do believe that's real. But COVID-19 is not it. Coronavirus and COVID-19 are two different things.
Right.
The stuff that we're seeing that's going on is this 5G stuff. And then now all of a sudden they got us locked in the house. You can't go nowhere. The economy is destroyed. It will never return back. I don't care what they're talking about. They could throw any magical number up. It's not going to work, because I'm going to tell you this real quick. I have seen businesses already shut down. When I decide, okay, I'm going to hop on the road, go up I-5, go down I-5, and I'm going to drive around a little bit, I'm already seeing folks that, KFC, we lost our lease. You know what I'm saying? Different companies, they're all going out of business. Listen, if we ain't working and anybody doing nothing, there's no transactions happening, the economy's tombstone. It will never go back. They're going to keep pushing the date out as far as they can until people get in the streets and start rioting. Because right now it's cool, right? You got maybe a month's supply, maybe, of food and snacks and whatever, until you down to a can of corn or something like that, right? String beans. And then you sitting there like, my baby's hungry. Hell, I'm hungry. What are we gonna do? You like, okay, well, up until now, I'm gonna go to Walmart because they killed the local grocery stores, right? So they no more real local grocery stores no more, right? And you're starting to see the supply of restocking getting lower and lower and lower, and you see all these restrictions happening. So they're using this as a control mechanism to control people. So what are you gonna do when you're hungry? What are you gonna do when you're thirsty? What are you gonna do when all of a sudden they're like, well, I'm sorry, the water's bad. We have some issues with the water filtration systems in the municipality, so now the water's bad. What are you gonna do when they start turning off power? Make some excuse up to why they gotta do rolling blackouts. And you're hungry. So it's really a control mechanism, but what's making people sick as far as like on a mass level like that is the 5G. Folks are getting headaches, folks getting sick, they don't feel well. I'll tell you a quick story, and then Elia, if you want to tell your story, that'd be cool. I remember a while back, my wife and I were in Fry's Electronics. We were in Fry's Electronics, and she got Pac-Man. Like when Pac-Man get hit by Ghost, that's what happened to her. She was done. And so I'm like, you all right? She's like, no, I got to get out of here. I don't feel well. And it was the LED lights in the building. My wife is very sensitive to frequencies and all that type of stuff. So like, she's the one you want to be around during the 5G apocalypse. Because she could navigate you through where to go, where not to go. She could sense it. So she was like, I don't feel well. Like something's not right up in here. And it's because those LED lights, the frequency they were radiating at was messing her up. Yeah. And so we had to get about the store. Like she was like, put everything down. We got to go. I cannot stay in here. We got to go.
Yep.
And so people don't even recognize that whether you feel it or not, it's affecting you. Some people are more sensitive than others, but you got to be careful. So go ahead, Elia.
No, to land back on what you were just saying about the lights, when you continue to watch the video, they actually say those new LED lights, even the TVs, something in them that transmits something that connects to the signal. I'm not a scientist or anything, but it connects to the signal of the Wi-Fi or the 5G or whatever, and it plays a part in your destruction. You know what I mean? Because like your LED lights you put in your home, they emit a signal that goes into your retina, and it's like it's something coming into you. Basically, what I technical about it. So my story was I went into Walmart, and I wish I would have got a picture. You know what I'm saying? Because the lines, they're letting 2 people in at a time. The line is around the corner. So
two people.
Yeah. So like they'll wait for some people to come out, and then they'll be like, "Okay, you're good." So what I see them getting you ready for martial law situation. You know what I'm saying? They're preparing you for when you go to these stores, you're going to be lined up, and then pretty soon they're going to have the people testing you at the spot. So you're going to be in that line getting tested, and you come up short with your test, they're going to pull you off, and they're going to quarantine you right there. So that's where we're headed, and that's what they're slowly getting us acclimated to that.
Tell it.
You know what I'm saying?
Tell it.
So that's kind of what I was peeping. I was like looking around. Everybody had their gloves on. I had my gloves on, but I had no mask on. People look crazy with their masks on. I'm just like, man, the Most High is our mask, so we don't need no mask. So I was watching people and stuff. I get in there automatically, like I got one of them sensitive spirits too, to where when I'm around, I can feel it. Like I went in there and my chest started hurting. I was like, oh, this ain't they that's that 5G. Let me I gotta get up out of here. I just went in there for some snacks. I shouldn't even have went in there. But for the most part, I started feeling my chest hurting. I'm like, oh, okay, I already knew off top what it was. It was I knew it was something that they were pumping into the building. you know, the 5G or the whatever the signal was. So I got my little snacks and I rolled out and I got home and I was like, still, my chest was still hurting. I was like, man, I got to get some tea. You know, so I made some tea and, you know, drank some water, you know what I'm saying? I bounced back from it. But, and that right there makes me not even want to go back to Walmart. You know what I'm saying? Like, up for real. You know, I may have to go back one more time and just grab everything up and not go back because this thing is getting serious. You know, I was feeling it. I was like, oh, that ain't right.
Hey, so check this out. So Elia, I had gave him a call and we're talking a little bit and he was telling me about the situation where he went to Walmart and they got it on lockdown now and it's like 2 in, 2 out. And that's a warning sign right there. And that's happening, being rolled out all across the country. It may not be happening yet in your city or your area, but it's happening right now. So he was saying, man, I know they gotta be pumping something in that store, man. They gotta be pumping something. So I'm like, 5G. We're like, yeah, 5G. So I said, hold on, you know, you got the one right here, so let's go ahead and get into it. I did some quick research magic, and I dug in, and Walmart and Verizon went into an agreement last month to put 5G in all their stores. Not only that, are they putting 5G in all their stores, but they're looking at turning Walmart's into a health hub. What was it called? A local health hub or something like that. So like what he's saying is legit. Like these fools want you to go up in there. I need to, you want to get you a bag of Cheerios or something like that, and they might take you out. They might sit there and be like, you got to get tested first.
Yeah.
Oh no, never mind, I'm good. And then you got folks trying to manhandle you and grab you. Because Hebrews ain't messing around with this stuff. We're not gonna now. There's some foolish ones amongst us that are getting tested for some reason.
Yeah.
And like I said, I honestly feel the virus is in the sickness, the actual coronavirus, that the real actual biological virus is in the kit. They're giving it to you when you take yourself.
Yeah.
You get tested or you get a shot. It's over with.
So it's like it's a two thing happening right now. It's a twofold. So you're either gonna get killed by the radiation that's coming from the 5G when they really activate it, or you take the shot and they give you the disease or virus or whatever, then you die there. So it's like, we got to be aware of these times, and we absolutely cannot take that vaccine. We got on earlier. And we were talking about where was it? The region in Africa where they tested that on the 8 kids. Where was that at?
It was the seven Senegalese children.
Okay.
So what ended up happening? You guys heard about it most likely. The French scientists and epidemiologists and virologists were all on the call. They were on have a TV show, whatever, and they were discussing about COVID-19 vaccination trials, and they literally You essentially were invited into the world of evil white folks. Just keeping it simple. And they were literally sitting there plotting and talking about, well, we could just go to Africa and test it out on them folks. And they were like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I think we should do that. Now, most of you, if you don't know this already, a lot of the West African countries are dominated and ruled indirectly by the French. They're called Francophone countries. And literally you think, oh, I'm going to go back to Mother Africa and they speak in French. You like, what? Yeah, they ain't going to be speaking no Mutumbo. No, they're going to be speaking French. They're going to be speaking French. Like, real talk, most of them places speak French. Some of them speak Portuguese. Some of them speak Spanish. Some of them speak English. And again, like, a lot of them, they speak French. The French own a lot of the different small territories. And they strong arm the leaders, primarily Edomites, Moabites, and Ishmaelites that they put in power. They basically put them in power, keep them in power. That's how you got some dude was like, oh, the president of whatever for like 50 years.
Right.
How you just the president of this spot for 50 whole years? You like 90 years old, can barely walk, and you the president. Like, you old as hell. But they keep you in power because you allow them to keep raping the continent. You keep oppression on the people. You don't care about them Israelites. you black, you Negro-ish, okay? So the average person that's uneducated will be like, well, that's another African, so why would they do that? Why is all these atrocities between Africans and Africans? We're not all the same people. You know what I'm saying? Not all the same lineal family. So they don't care about having these French dudes come in. So the French dudes actually came in, and it was 2 of them. They flew in, and they injected 7 of the Senegalese little Hebrew boys with vaccine trials, and they all died. And the people were in an uproar and running and trying to figure out where these folks was at. And either they're flew out already, or they're in hiding by the government. So you don't want to mess with that. They're targeting us. Like I said before they showed their hand of what they're looking at doing. They, I already was looking at, don't be fooled. They're going to make this about us. I know it's China. I know about China. I got you. And then you see it going all around the world. But trust and believe somehow, some way, they're going to roundabout make it be about us.
Yep.
And now with that video you played in the very beginning, do you have any more videos?
It was just those 2 I did, but I wanted to get more information on like the health of the 5G. But when you watch the video, it just talks about how there's a lot of more good stuff in it, but it's just long.
I got you. I was just wanting to see if you had any more videos.
No.
Hey Ray, I do got a video I want you to pull up in a minute. Go on YouTube and look up Event 201.
Yeah.
And I want you to right now, just go ahead while I'm still talking, look for the highlight reel. It kind of gives it's like a 12-minute video. It kind of gives a synopsis of the whole entire thing. Let me know in chat or just vocally when you got that ready. But yeah, bottom line is, yeah, that might be it right there. So before you play that, bottom line is, this is a situation where they're targeting us.
Yes.
Listen, they know the 400 years is up.
Right.
They know it. They know that whooping's coming. So this is their last ditch effort to try to put in what they got to in place. We are living in the book of Revelations. You got a lot of Christians freaking out because they're like, shouldn't we be gone by now?
Right.
Wasn't the Roush supposed to happen before all this jump off? What's going on?
Yeah.
Like we in the middle of, we about to be up in Revelations chapter 13 in a minute.
Yeah, it's getting close.
They thought they thought they was gonna be up out of here. You know what I mean? It's like, listen.
Yeah, no, that's real talk.
It's not for us to be afraid. It's not for us to be afraid, but the bottom line is that truly these folks are trying to make it be about us. They're going to turn it into this is a Black man, African American virus. And my thing is, like, when you watch back what they said, you have to really listen with spiritual ears and listen to what they're saying. Why all of a sudden do they have a concern about African Americans? Why?
They never did. They don't.
Yeah.
Why ever? Hell, but not too long ago, the Asians had their own hotline for racism.
Hey, bro, I'll do you
in
one.
New York.
There's a brother on here right now, just posted it last night, and I said, now, a Black person is a Black person, but how do we even know that they are people? Just last night, someone posted a video of an Israelite leader, a general from IUIC, or one of them, that allegedly got taken out. Have y'all seen that?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Taken out what?
He got by the COVID virus, so they're getting real direct with this. And a lot of Israelite and Hebrew channels were posting, let's say about the last week and a half, saying, hey, 1,000 at the left, 10,000 at the right, not us. So as soon as we started saying that, that's when it seems like these attacks got direct.
You're right.
Oh yeah, they can't handle that. Now, I will say this, like, there's no doubt people are getting sick, or they're having symptoms, right? But I'm gonna tell you right now, have you looked at your car lately? Have you walked outside, looked at your car, and seen all that pollen on your car?
Right. What is that?
Yep.
Okay, it's just listen.
It's chemtrails.
We're in the season right now of just spring. Some folks are going to start having allergies and different things like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Some people are going to be having a general cold. It don't mean you got the coronavirus.
No.
Right.
You may
That's
have
the
a
thing.
type of coronavirus, like a regular coronavirus, but you better stay your black self out the hospital.
Let me just say one thing, adding on to that. So you can't even cough no more. You know what I mean? Like you
For
can't
real.
even have a simple cough no more without someone looking at you and like, oh, he got it. Like you got to hold in your cough. You know, like come on now. But
and there's several of them out there, man. They're acting like this one here is so dangerous. It's a novel coronavirus. SARS is a type of coronavirus, and there's 4 major coronaviruses circulating amongst the Earth's population right now that are actually doing more statistically than this one is doing. So we know that this here is for a completely different purpose.
It's not. This is for control. Listen, there's more folks dying of the flu virus
than the
regular flu than this.
Yeah, the rhinovirus, right?
We didn't lock nothing down.
Right.
Okay. So what people don't got to understand, and I've been saying this for a while, is that just like when you're taking and you're trying to capture and hold down and control a wild dog, a stray dog, you sit there and you take the leash, that long pole with the leash on it, and you put it in the presence of that animal. And then you try to speak softly to it. It's okay, little buddy. It's going to be all right. Let me reassure you, it's going to be all right. Then you start petting the animal. See, I'm your friend. I'm your friend. Yeah, little poochie poochie. It's going to be all right. And then you try to put it over the animal's head. Now, if he resists or bites or snaps at you, you pull back. It's going to be all right. I'm here for you. And then you start petting it again so it gets comfortable. The man's not so bad. He's not so bad. And then you let the animal lets you put that thing around his neck. And then you slowly start cinching that thing tighter and tighter until you can get to the point where you can go ahead and cinch it up on his neck. And now you got absolute control of that animal.
Exactly.
And that's what's happening to the world's populations, and they don't know it. They stupid. And the thing about it is what makes them stupid is because they know what's happening, but they don't want to believe it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to believe this is happening to me. I can't believe this is happening to me. No, this can't be happening. No, they didn't plan this. No, this wasn't. What do you mean? No, the government wouldn't do that.
Not in the land of the free.
But the thing about it is this thing is happening on a global scale. So I want to show you guys something. Here's the situation you got. Lisa got me cracking up. It's okay, little buddy.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
But no, like real talk, it's like these folks coordinated planning this whole thing, and you got all the little low-level countries that they ain't about nothing no way. The proxy countries, they're falling right along with the program too. There's going to be wars that break out because there's going to be some semi-righteous people that are going to know and see what's going on. And there's going to be coups. There's going to be civil wars. There's going to be uprisings all across the earth. It's going to be crazy because there's going to be people, whether they're in Iran, whether they're in Russia, whether they're in Great Britain, whether they're in any country, Saudi Arabia, it don't matter, in China, and they're going to be like, yeah, I'm not cool with this program. Not everybody's in line with this thing. We're not going to roll with you on this one. But here's the situation. I want you to show you the pieces, and then we're going to watch this whole art piece of the Event 201. So here's the situation. You have Event 201 that took place on one day, and it was essentially a military exercise that's called a TTX or tabletop exercise. Had to look it up. And in this TTX tabletop exercise, it was a lot of different government organizations, like the governments, like from China, representatives from China and from the US and from around the world. It had different CEOs and leaders from different fields around the earth. You know, the CEO of the Marriott was the sole black woman up in there with a little bit of a roll of nothing. You had Johnson & Johnson was there and other folks that were there, and they're literally discussing what would happen. This is back in like October, mind you. What would happen if a coronavirus escaped and went all over the earth? What would happen? Then you got this film being released on Netflix called Pandemic.
Yeah.
The series of videos.
Who was the savior?
No, that's the other one.
Bill Gates.
Huh?
Exactly.
Exactly.
All right. So it was a very much a pro-vaccine documentary, so to speak. Now you have this is before natural perverted human curiosity kicked in. You got Netflix and you got Hulu and Amazon Prime all pushing these outbreak, pandemic, all these crazy Contagion, all these films start popping up, right? It's all propaganda. And I will tell you this Event 201 was purely a propaganda piece. Purely propaganda. I don't know what they were thinking, but go ahead, Ray, and play that. It's about a 12-minute video, and just check it out.
It began in healthy-looking pigs, months, perhaps years ago. A new coronavirus spread silently within herds. Gradually, farmers started getting sick. Infected people got a respiratory illness with symptoms ranging from mild flu-like signs to severe pneumonia. The sickest required intensive care. Many died. Experts agree, unless it is quickly controlled, it could lead to a severe pandemic, an outbreak that circles the globe and affects people everywhere.
The mission of the Pandemic Emergency Board is to provide recommendations to deal with the major global challenges arising in response to an unfolding pandemic. The board is comprised of highly experienced leaders from business, public health, and civil society.
We could be looking at double the number of cases in 1 week and 16 times as many in a month if we are not able to stop the spread. That would be on the order of 500,000 cases, and it would continue to rise exponentially. In 3 months, we could be approaching 10 million cases.
We're at the start of what's looking like it will be a severe pandemic. And there are problems emerging that can only be solved by global business and governments working together.
We have known about CAPS-like viruses in animals and people for decades, but have not been successful at developing a licensed vaccine. And sure, there are new technologies that may help, but it's going to be difficult. I am not optimistic about having a vaccine in time to be relevant during this pandemic.
So the policy crisis in question for this board in this meeting is this: how should governments, business, and international organizations allocate and distribute pandemic antivirals and medical supplies to the people who need them most?
What we've seen work very well in the HIV field is, in fact, procurement through the Global Fund. So having a centralized mechanism, so financially able to procure on behalf of affected countries would be critical. I think the second thing is it's going to be very important that for the business sector, for manufacturers of antivirals, that we have clarity around what the need is and where the need is and who are making the decisions.
I think that given that the countries most affected are those that are low and middle income countries with unequal access to technology, to finances, the UN has a worldwide footprint, universally recognized, and universal membership.
A global stockpile would certainly help ensure more rational and strategic allocation, but the reality is that we don't have the logistics capability, even within the UN, to bring that together in one place and run it. So this is where I think a collaboration between the international organizations like the World Health Organization and the private sector, which runs these supply chains for many purposes every day. Understand where the supplies are, make smart decisions about how to allocate them to the people who need them in the places that need them the most, and then work with the industry to move those supplies from where they are today to where they need to be.
Just to underscore the point that cooperation among supply chain providers or businesses that have huge supply chains can add a lot of efficiency to the whole process.
The question is, can you, through this international mechanism, really promote commitments to doing this as quickly as possible and give people a sense that actually if they contribute more, that they will have a better chance of protecting their own populations and their country's security and health.
So to be completely clear, most of this production would already be committed in contracts.
Yes.
It is almost unheard of that people are producing product without having a forward commitment for the consumption of that product. So the first thing that needs to be done, because this is not something that the countries currently control, unless countries are going to bring about emergency situations and co-opt an existing supply chain.
I think it's not likely, I agree, that countries are not going to buy a countermeasure to put into a global supply without retaining a large portion of it for themselves.
Public health agencies have issued travel advisories, while some countries have banned travel from the worst affected areas. As a result, the travel sector is taking a huge hit. Travel bookings are down 45%, and many flights have been canceled. A ripple effect is racing through the service sector. Governments that rely on travel and tourism as a large part of their economies are being hit particularly hard.
How should national leaders, businesses, and international organizations balance the risk of worsening disease that would be caused by the continued movement of people around the world against the risks of profound economic consequence of travel and trade bans?
If there's some sense that there's a UN institution that can do all of this, then I worry we're suffering from a delusional disorder on the power of the UN. It's really important to get those industries and their trade associations and an efficient leadership established, which is decentralized, but has a collective responsibility and accountability. And that needs to be supported by the public leadership.
What is essential, what is non-essential travel, we have to clarify this. Otherwise, if we go down to 20% bookings over a long period, the company will run down. That's a fact.
You know, there's a whole complex set of issues in a highly interdependent world on supply chains that are just in time. We need to think about how much flex there is in that just-in-time supply chain system and make sure it keeps running. I think it's going to take specificity, and it's going to take knowledge that only the private sector has. The UN can play an important coordinating facilitation role, but the companies know where those commodities are, where they move, how to move them, and that's where a type of public-private collaboration that we have not generally had in these crises needs to be put together pretty quickly.
We are not out of money yet, but the fact is we are trending in a dangerous direction and something needs to change.
So the policy question for this board now is, how should financial resources be prioritized? Are there nodes that we cannot allow to fail? What is your sense of priorities? We don't have money to pay for all of these urgent problems.
So at the moment, we want the fund, right? You need the money. So where's the money? So government kind of supplies our money. A lot of, private sectors, some are sitting here, you have some money, but now you need a really coordinated, centralized efforts.
Hotels will be experiencing, crippling losses doing that. And we know that the hotel business in itself makes up 5% of the GDP.
Governments need to be willing to do things that are out of their historical perspective, or for the most part, it's really a war footing that we need to be on.
We shouldn't underestimate the power of entrepreneurship. We need to escalate that, whether it's through the government's helping with tax breaks or subsidies of that nature to increase manufacturing of those types of products. It can happen quickly. A Marshall-type plan, don't mean to say that exactly, but a Marshall Plan that can go into effect can stimulate change very quickly.
Countries are reacting in different ways
as to how best to manage the overwhelming amounts of and misinformation circulating over the internet. In some cases, limited internet shutdowns are being implemented to quell panic.
How much control of information should there be, and by whom? And how can false information be effectively challenged? And what if that false information is coming from companies or from governments?
I think it's very important that we make sure that there is concise communication with all healthcare facilities where these patients are being treated so that there isn't mass panic.
We're at a moment where the social media platforms have to step forward and recognize the moment to assert that they're a technology platform and not a broadcaster is over. They, in fact, have to be a participant in broadcasting accurate information and partnering with the scientific and health communities to counterweight, if not flood the zone, of accurate information, because to put the genie back in the bottle of the misinformation and disinformation is nigh impossible.
One thing we haven't spoken about, and I'm wondering whether it's time to talk about this, is a step up from the part of the governments on enforcement actions against fake news.
I personally do not believe that trying to shut things down in terms of information is either practical or desirable. And we do have, I think, a couple of strategies that are available to us, one of which is the flood strategy, second of which is relying and informing and equipping trusted sources of information with the facts so they can then pass that on. But we also need to actually think about a technological answer to this.
The outcome of the CAPS pandemic in Event 201 was catastrophic. 65 million people died in the first 18 months. The outbreak was small at first and initially seemed controllable, but then it started spreading in densely crowded and impoverished neighborhoods of megacities. From that point on, the spread of the disease was explosive. Within 6 months, cases were occurring in nearly every country. The global economy was in a free fall. The GDP down 11%. Stock markets around the world plummeted between 20 and 40% and headed into a downward cycle of fear and low expectation. Businesses were not borrowing, banks were not lending. Everyone was just hoping to hunker down and weather the storm. Economists say the economic turmoil caused by such a pandemic will last for years, perhaps a decade. The societal impacts, the loss of faith in government, the distrust of news, and the breakdown of social cohesion could last even longer. We have to ask, did this need to be so bad? Are there things we could have done in the 5 to 10 years leading up to the pandemic that would have lessened the catastrophic consequences? We believe the answer is yes. So are we as a global community now finally ready to do the hard work needed to prepare for the next pandemic?
They're going to get them numbers down to 500 million. That's what they want.
The next.
They want. That's what they want.
She's talking like this might be phase one of something, man. I keep on hearing them like the next.
It is phase one.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Wow.
Moray Josh keeps saying this is just the first round. I've been watching his sermons, and this is round one. Some more plagues coming.
They're messing around. So the thing about it is that what they got planned and prepared for us is going to fall back on their own head. That's what they don't recognize. They don't recognize. But they messing around. They playing games. Like most I ain't playing.
No,
not playing.
Not at all.
But listen, I wanted to bring that out because I mean, there's so much that was said in that, man.
Yeah.
It's so much. I mean, first off, you can already see they have a mindset of 18 months. So they're, like I said, they're rolling things out in stages. They have things in place, and they're going to restrict things so much out of fear and fake numbers that people are either going to be so afraid and they're going to be in such disbelief.
I don't know.
That they essentially will give in to the desires of the local governments. Whatever I got to do for my family, whatever I got to do to eat, whatever I got to do to keep a roof over my head. Because the reality is this: If you're not working, like not everybody got a stash or has even still got a job. So what's going to happen with these folks that get put out their house? Nobody's talking about this right now. I even was actually thinking about having a meeting with the senior leadership at ReBirth about this. And the situation is that some folks are living paycheck to paycheck. Real talk. Some folks are just living paycheck to paycheck. And so what happens when you got a lot of these people that lose their job? They have no more money. So now it's like, how do I eat? Now it's like, how do I pay my rent? Eviction notice. Well, the coronavirus, sorry, can't help you. The whatever bailouts or whatever is not for you. It's for these corporations. It's for these small businesses that you ain't a part of. And your little measly $1,200 check ain't going to help you out. When you've been destroyed financially, economically, because you're out of a job, you got bills that are still piling up, you still got credit card payments due, you still got health bills or whatever you got to pay, take care of, medications you got to pay for. So what are you going to do? So if you get evicted out your house, now where are you going to stay? And it's not just, oh, 1 or 2 families is out and now they're on the street. You're talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Americans that are going to be out on the street curb. But they're going to lord over you coronavirus. And if you don't do what we say to do to protect the people, so come here, newly homeless, broke person. If you want to get this aid, if you want to get this assistance from us, then you got to do these things. And that's where the rubber meets the road in regards to what you're going to do.
Yeah, they're talking about giving the shot and the vaccine at the same time. So it's a two-part, you know what I'm saying? The shot is supposed to be the vaccine, and then the chip is supposed to be to monitor your health. So I was reading something about how the chip, it does something to where it can control your thoughts. It can control like what you do and what you eat. Like if you're eating like a bunch of junk food, they'll fine you. I don't know if that's real, but I looked into it. You know, they were saying something about they'll give you a fine if you aren't eating healthy or something. So I don't know, like, yeah, go ahead.
So what it is that they've already been looking at this probably, I'd say realistically, for at least a decade, if not 2. But basically nanotechnology, which is, it'll blow your mind back when you try to think about nanotechnology. But with this nanotechnology, essentially what it comes down to is you take a pill and the nanotechnology is in the pill, and it literally does snoop on you. It determines like what you've been doing. Like it can see if you're taking your medication on time, if you're taking the right dosage. Like it monitors what you're doing as far as, are you adhering to the plan that they put in place? Are you taking your medication like you say you are?
Right.
It can bond.
That's been in place for
cells too.
Over a decade.
It can bond with biological cells and self-replicate too once inside the human cavity.
So, like Ox said, they've been planning this for a while. The chemtrails you see have the nanoparticles in them. They have the metal,
it's in the
mercury.
dust.
So
it's in the dust.
So when you keep watching that video that I had, it actually talks about how the dust, it allows them to track you. That's why they were saying in the video they can track where you're at in your house by the signal.
Nanites.
The nanites that are already in your system, in your
bloodstream. Cell level. And that's why they want this coronavirus and the chemtrails, is so that they can like control you with these frequencies. Basically, with that metal in there, it almost makes you bioconductive. Like if y'all seen that video with the dude talking about the VMAT2, where they wanted to put out what I'm thinking might be coronavirus MERS, the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome thing. They were talking about how they think they can cure, if anybody hasn't seen the video, how they think they could cure religious extremism, religious fundamentalism, like the jihadi warrior, basically. Is called, like, they think the VMAT2 gene. it's a gene in the DNA that's responsible for a lot of things like serotonin, a lot of neurological chemicals and things like that. Long story short, they feel like your belief or your non-belief is either because your VMAT2 gene is expressed or it's not expressed. And they feel like we can vaccinate against this gene. This is like a 2005 video where this dude's talking about that. Then fast forward to 2014, 2015, you talking about like how they can inject silicone and gold down to the billionth and restructure your DNA, which that kind of lines up with what you were saying, Ak, about your free will and your stuff like that, control your behavior, be able to remote control you basically with frequencies. You're bioconductive.
So look at it this way. I mean, just keep it simple. When you look at where we're going towards, this is about control. This is basically, you know, these folks know time is up and they need to try to exert control over the people. And literally it's a matter of, I'm trying to kill as many people as I possibly can on the way out, specifically Israelites, but I'm taking everybody out. And so you are looking at the revelation of the beast system being made manifest right now. It is. It's not even a joke. And, you know, I believe that things will appear to get better, but under conditions. Because after this, people will be so clamoring to get back to life as it was or life as usual that they will give up their freedoms in order to have a taste of what it was like before, to go sit at a restaurant, to go walk in a park, to go do all these different things. They're going to be willing to sell darn near their soul to be able to have just even an ounce of that life back. Which, so now you're dealing with a situation of, like the video that Bill Gates had where he was like, there's not going to be any mass gatherings until there's forced vaccinations. Until mandatory vaccinations, there will not be any mass gatherings ever. That's his goal. Like, and his father was like a director of Planned Parenthood, which targeted us. That's why him and his wife have such an interest in Africa.
Wow.
They out for us. They don't, man, they trying to come get us. So my thing is like, man, listen, you better not take your black self to the hospital for nothing right now, unless your eyeballs popped out, unless you got
not
your
even
arm
that
broke off or something. Don't be stupid and go, oh, I got a cough, I need to go to the hospital. You might end up dead. You might leave that place tombstone. Right now it's not the time. Once you go up in there, right now is not the time. Once you go up in there, you don't know what they're going to do to you because you have no will, no free will over your own body, because they feel like I can go ahead and do what's medically necessary, even to say you're clinically insane. I ain't crazy. You had to do this to me. Yep, they're crazy. Now you got absorbed and locked up into a mental institution, or you out there somewhere because they say because they say something crazy about you. Now you locked up in some hospital, or you can't leave until you get this shot. So now you got 5 dudes in your room holding you down, type of stuff.
Nah, there was a video
like that.
With the video with the dude that leave the hospital room.
This ain't the time. This is not the time to go to nobody's hospital. You better have some. You better figure something out.
Don't even get tested. Damn, a vaccine. Don't even get tested.
About that.
I can't. My nephew got tested. I can't lie. My nephew got tested like 2-3 weeks ago. They put it in his nose, and for like 2-3 days, he kept having nosebleeds.
Wow.
I bet.
They probably put it in him.
Listen,
went through his nostril. Went through his nostril.
Man, look, I can't talk about it. I feel sorry for your nephew, your cousin, whatever. Listen, I just don't take your black self to that hospital.
Hell.
Y'all better drink some ginger and call it a day.
Seriously,
some 7-Up or something. Some Sprite. You know what I'm saying? You know how we do. You know how
it came back negative for like a sinus infection. He said,
"Bruh,
but still, they have
I'm
a
just
flu
telling
net.
y'all. I'm just telling y'all.
Like almost 10 years ago in the military.
Don't do it.
Exactly. If
Oh,
they
I
can,
don't plan
if they
on
can
doing it.
vaccinate you with a flu mist that goes up your nose, then God knows what they could do by now. Y'all knows what they could do by now.
Literally what they do is it's a long Q-tip that's like damn near 8 inches, it seemed like.
Yeah.
And they jab that thing darn near to your brain. Like, listen. Just
mucous membranes.
Just
Mucous
no,
membranes.
man. No.
So
there was even a report that came out in the UK where a batch of coronavirus testing kits tested positive for the actual coronavirus.
Yeah, I seen it. I seen it.
Go figure.
I seen
Go
it.
figure.
Wow.
Don't do it.
No, earlier, Sis was asking, how do we protect ourselves from the 5G? You know, we got to stay prayed up in this time. We got to keep putting our armor on every day and keep trusting in the Most High. You know what I mean? He's our protection. You know, I'm not worried. That's why when I see people with their masks on or they winter coats on in the spring, they all like, they look like, you know, man, the Most High is our protection. You know what I mean? So we ain't got we don't got to worry.
There is some remedies that I mentioned over in chat if anybody cares to detoxify your body. It's called oral chelation. And
throw that in there.
It's a well-known and an old method of detoxifying your body from heavy metals. A lot of the stuff in the chemtrails, the barium, strontium, aluminum, your body can process and get rid of. It needs some catalysts and needs some help. Chlorella is one of the good green herbs that can be used for this process. There's another one called spirulina, and these are all old herbs that have been well proven and have other health effects. But another thing you can do, I've made, I'll grab a pack in a second. There's these seaweed packages. They're like snacks. They almost look like potato chips. And I just make them a regular part of my diet. I'll just eat them with lunch, and they're tasty. But seaweed is another thing that is going to help your body rid some of these heavy metals, along with the seaweed having some anti-carcinogenic properties. So a person that's on a cancer diet, you know, that's one of the things they'll recommend. So that's one of the ways the Father has given us remedies right there in the book. There's seeds of the field, and there's different herbs, and there's different things that he would like us to seek out and utilize for our positive health. And if you look over in the chat, I put the 3 of them that you can get that process.
Hey, real quick, I'll tell you real quick. While you can, purchase as many seeds as you can.
I'm on it. I'm on it.
They're banning it.
Yeah, they're banning it. They're banning the ability. So they're banning our ability to feed ourselves. They're saying it's not essential. And really what it comes down to is they're doing a power grab move to control the supply of food. Yep. Because like, think about it. It's like, listen, if I can control your mind by fear, and if I can control your sustenance to where the only way you're able to really live is if I tell you to live or if I tell you to die, right? You can't feed yourself. You can't feed your children. You can't make no bread. You can't have no electricity. You can't do nothing. If I don't say you can. If you don't do what I tell you to do, then you can't live.
Where you going?
That's what it comes down to. You know what I'm saying? You look at that situation where it's like some of us have gotten papers talking about whether you're essential or not. All these things are already in place. The thing about it, and I've talked about it already, everything's being done in stages. Yeah. They know what they're going to do. They know what they plan to do. Not that the Most High is going to allow them to do it, but they know what they plan to do. And they're trying to roll this stuff out in stages. Mm-hmm. They're trying to roll it out in stages so that people don't panic. Because if they did it overnight, then they already know that folks are going to rise up. But if they do it in stages and they lay out hope by lying to us and saying, oh, 2 more weeks. Oh, 3 more weeks.
Yeah, they keep pushing it back already. Yeah.
2 more months. Oh. So you literally are trying to keep the entire global population on lockdown in their house out of fear.
Yeah.
Because I can't control them by pure force only, unless I just want to kill everybody.
Right.
I can't really do that. And even if I did kill a bunch of folks, there's more folks that are going to come back and take me out than the folks I got weapons for.
Exactly.
So I got to control them by the mind. I got to control them by the mind, by fear. And in order to exert authority over them, I got to take away their ability to feed themselves. You got to come hat in hand, talking about, excuse me, sir. You know, may I get a piece of bread? Like it's a wrap. They want us as a people to have to go to them to sustain ourselves.
Yeah.
And then if you don't get the shot, if you don't get the mark of the beast, talk about you won't be able to buy or sell anything, right? That's what we're dealing with. They're moving to a way where unless you get the mark of the beast, you not coming through.
Nope.
Because the coronavirus.
Right.
Can't eat,
So
can't live.
If you want things to go back to normal, you got to go ahead and get this vaccine. Oh, and by the way, in this vaccine is a chip. Sign this waiver.
Yeah. So, man, it's a lot going on. We definitely got to be aware, you know what I'm saying, and use discernment in these times. I've been kind of talking about this. I know Eddie been kind of mentioning it. I know he's on. I think he's on here still. Just really praying and listening to the Most High. Like if you got to flee, I know me and Morita Wayne was talking about this too. If the Most High puts it in your spirit to flee when we can, it's time to go. You know what I'm saying? That's just real talk.
No questions.
You know? I'm already in survival mode, so like I'm already trying to prepare for my way out or to survive or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We just got to continue to pray and really listen to the Most High, you know, to see what He is trying to tell us in this time. Because either He's trying to tell you to leave or flee, or you know what I'm saying. That's what you got to do. Then you got to listen. We all got to listen in this time. So
with that being said, you see how they clamping down on the passports right now?
Oh yes,
I'm still trying to get mine, but hey, I'm moving with the Spirit. So I mean, if I get it, if I don't, you know what I'm saying. I'm just still try.
March, right? You tried before mid-March?
I did, but I was actually it was funny though because they stopped them on the 20th, right? And I was actually trying to get it around the 18th, and some things happened. I had to I was like short some money or whatever, so I had to like leave and come back, and then they were closed, and then
that might be a blessing, man, because my brother, if you already have one, they have sent you a letter at this point. And from this letter, you need to come down to an office and talk to somebody to in order for things to stay straight. Because he goes like to Machu Picchu and Costa Rica. People in the medical field travel several times a year. So it's just his normal. But he got a letter in the mail saying that he needs to come down and speak to these people before he does any more traveling on his passport. So it might be a blessing in disguise, bro, that they denied you or that you're not dealing with that because...
I mean, I'm still going forward with it, but I mean,
okay,
you know, we'll see. I'm just praying on it.
Another aspect, there are some countries that don't require a passport.
That's true.
That's true. That's true.
So you just got to make it through and go from there. So, but
you just got to get
the
there.
thing about it is, the Most High he knows what's up. He knows what's happening. He's drawing these people to their own destruction. When you look at the Exodus story for our people, especially you look in the book of Josephus, Antiquities of the Hebrews, it talks about how Moses had to lead the Israelites a certain way, a certain path that wasn't an easy path to get through.
That's
initially. And they knew that it was going to be harder for the Egyptians to come after them, which they did anyway, but it made things more difficult for them. When they got down, they literally were hedged in from the path they went down. No place to escape. You got water in front of you and Rock Mountain behind you. And then you see the Egyptians coming afar off. And it talks about how Israel was hot. They thought, man, Moshe, like you let us here to get killed. We trapped. Like you led all of us to the wall of the sea. And we look back and we see these folks coming sorted up. And then obviously the Most High spoke to him and was like, you're gonna see my deliverance. Just wait, just watch and see. You know what I'm saying? So things look bad, they look a certain type of way, but it's like, don't worry about all this. The main thing is you stay the course. Do not go in line with these folks. You're better off just dying starving. Just if I have to die, if I get tombstoned out, just be like Maury Dwayne was a real one and keep it moving. Like I'm not going, you're not gonna see me in no line talking about, can I get something to eat?
Please, sir.
Please, sir.
Have some more.
No.
Man, you know what, man?
I'm about to drop my phone out.
Also, man, we serve a power, man, that and I'm gonna tell you this one from personal experience. And it's in scripture too. He will provide for you.
Yes.
If you are in line and you are doing what he has commanded you to do, he will provide for you. You understand me? Right. He will drop that manna right on your lap. He will send that quail into your house, okay?
Yes.
That's our main thing, is listening, keeping our ear inclined to hear what his voice is speaking and get led to that place where those crows can feed us.
Exactly. It was Eli where where the crow was feeding him meat.
Come on. That's
I be praying like, Father, can you bring me some meat? Not, but bring me some meat. No, but real though, real talk though, we serve an amazing Elohim, man. It's amazing though that we serve a powerful God, powerful Yah.
And we're called to endure, man. I know that a lot of the things that we're talking about right now is not so anybody can be scared. Everyone should be prepared. We are here to endure. That's the thing about, and think of our people, the history of our people. We are brown pieces of leather that are well put together. They've been trying to take us out for half a millennium, family. Okay, don't let this rattle you. If this is rattling you, then we can pray and we can get you in this word, because you may have more of the Romanized mind than you realize.
Yeah, yep.
Man, we've been through a lot, man, as a people, man. We should be conditioned for this. You know what I'm saying? We done been through a lot. So this ain't nothing. It's just another code, just another one of their little things that they done made up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
imagine all the prophets who would love to be alive right about now, who wrote about this thing.
Almost all of them mention that and say, oh, to be alive at that time.
Yeah.
That's real. This is a blessed time. This is a time that all desire to be alive and to be a walking and to be witnessed and to see. I know that's right.
Yeah. I like to talk about that 2 Timothy 1:7, no fear.
Come on.
Try and give us a heart of fear.
Yeah. Hallelujah.
Love and power, exactly.
Yeah,
we good, man. We good. I mean, this is the time of our deliverance. This is the time of our salvation. We about to walk into the second Exodus. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I'm ready. You know what I mean? The awakening is growing every day, because now folks is recognizing and realizing like them Hebrews was right.
Yeah.
They was recently talking about, the 400 years is up. What's going to happen? Ain't nothing happened. Y'all still, okay, keep talking. Keep talking.
He said those nations would be judged. Judgment is started.
Yeah, man. That 401st day of that first day of the 401st year kicked off.
Right.
Yeah. They over there looking like, what?
Sirach 5 and 6 was talking about like, I sinned, ain't nothing happened to me. Like,
right. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So, man, that's all I got, man.
You know, I wanted to add one thing, and this is just from the Father, from me. We were talking about the bug out bags, and we are making those provisions and stuff and whatnot, and everything's fine with that. One thing people don't think about is a good set of clothes. We might have a fault line or something happen or whatever happened while you're just chilling in the comfort of your home. If you're one of them ones that plan this way and prep this way and have a bug out bag, have you a real nice, real good set of clothes somewhere. You might have to grab the bag and the clothes, hop in the car, start it, and go.
Mm-hmm.
Have you a real good set? I have a good sweatsuit and some steel-toed boots that would be like a survival. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
that I keep right by that closet. I can just open it up, grab a bag, grab the clothes, and I'm gone. That's how because when the Exodus happened the first time, man, we had to make that bread in haste.
Yeah.
We had to jump up.
11.
Right.
Yeah.
Run. So it might be like that again. And if it is, you know, they clothes and their shoes grew on them in the wilderness, but they had to have them on to get started. You know what I mean? So
praise Yah.
Look at
those
man. Your provisions too.
To land back on that, so what he said, we need to be preparing our bag to go, because when it's time to go, we're gonna have to grab that bag, whatever you can, and just be out. You know what I'm saying? That's where we at. You know, we come into that. You know what I mean? So I just want you guys to make sure you're prepared mentally and physically for what's about to happen. You know, what is happening. So, you know, get your little bug out bag. You know, your survival, your first aid. You know, all your, you know, your food, your clothes, your water. You know, the things that you're gonna need while you're out. You know, like the Ox said, you know, a good, strong, a pair of, like a strong outfit, strong clothes, you know, so that's going to be key. We'll be dealing with the elements. So, yeah. Survival mode.
Yeah. And praise them while you can, man. I know that they've already taken us coming together away from us. But a lot of people get in the spirit and get into a spirit of worship better when they have assistance, have music and different stuff. Like praise him while you can. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Praise him while you can, and put on your praise music and set that atmosphere in your house during this new year and this season of Passover. You know what I'm saying? Let the Ruach just do what it does to your heart and in your spirit. And that may help you to incline your ear. Praise him while you can.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a question. So, you know, when you're saying pack your bags and be ready to go, is there like a specific like meeting place that has been discussed?
No.
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 That's something that we would definitely.
That's the Most High right there.
Yeah, the Most High is he gonna lead us to each other. You know what I mean? We all gonna flee and we all gonna end up in somewhere in the wilderness together. But I mean, that's something you would want to get together with the local assembly and just kind of come together with a plan. You know, that's kind of what we've been kind of talking about, trying to have a plan of attack. You know, somewhere where we can, somewhere we can all meet up.
We did that with our family probably like 5 years ago. It's like, okay, if we're not here, then if you don't catch up with us there and the communications is down, our destination is here. You know what I mean? So, that kind of thing. So I was just wondering if that was something that you guys had discussed. And then also I just posted a video that I saw last week of this guy. I forget where he was, but he was refusing treatment at the hospital.
That's the one.
And we shared it, Akoti. We shared it. The big guy when the doctor surrounded him and
y'all ain't gonna take me. Y'all ain't gonna take me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not funny, but it's just we can't put ourselves in those situations. So that's what we were trying to say.
Oh, okay.
Don't let that be you.
Okay, yeah.
So
when I saw that, I'm like, okay, the doctor is the last place we want to be right now.
Them guys are high priests and part of a cult. So yeah, absolutely.
Hey, I'll just say this real quick. This final thing I'm gonna say is that when you look historically in this country, okay, the government, the shadow government that controls the government, aka corporations and other interested parties, wealthy folks, and Ashkenaz, right? Them folks, right? You got the educational universities, academia, and the hospitals, the medical groups and universities. They're all in collusion together when it comes to some of these wicked things that they do.
Absolutely.
They all work together in coordination. So it's like your hospital. Oh, okay, I went there and I was born there and different things like that, and that's fine. Not knowing that there's secret wings where they do government experiments
and rituals.
Not knowing that, and rituals in some cases. Not knowing that on certain university campuses they have certain rituals they do. They have certain research they do. That's tied in with government grants and loans, tied in with medical personnel. So all these folks are in on it. When you look at programs like MK Ultra, all the above were involved.
Yeah.
The hospitals,
and it's darn blind.
the college university, the government, all of them were involved in that kind of stuff. So, you know.
That's real talk, man. That's one of the reasons I left, man. And I always tell people, I was damn near a nurse practitioner, man. I was going to do it. But I tell people hospitals are set up for recidivism. They're set up to retain customers. I thought I was getting into something where we're going to be healing people and making them better and sending them home. But they do things behind the curtains, just like a jitney mechanic. He's going to fix your car well enough to get it running, but you're going to come back and see him. He ain't going to fix it up like the real shop. There's adjuvants that we were already putting inside of the vaccines before any of this came about, one of them being mercury, another one being thimerosal. Now, I got in trouble because I was actually in a class where we were learning about the toxic effects of different chemicals on the human body, and I learned about thimerosal and mercury, and that same day I worked in a clinic where we're putting the inserts and putting the vaccines together. So I asked my charge nurse, I get to talk, and I'm like, well, we were learning in class about this, and isn't this bad? Shut up. Don't talk about that. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Get back, do your job. It was basically like, Negro, shut up. If you want to get paid and keep getting this money, shut your mouth, and we don't talk about that around here. And that when it jumped off to me, and the father started showing me things like those caduceus and things like that. That's not the symbol that he gave Moses in the wilderness. He gave him one snake wrapped around one stick. The caduceus is a completely different thing.
Look into that, where that symbol comes from.
Right. Right. So hospitals, if you got a broken bone sticking out the back of something, you know, that's one thing. Go get fixed. Well, before now, I would tell people, you know, that's one thing. But as much as you possibly can, avoid hospitals, avoid doctors. The way that medicine is set up here in the West is actually a diametrically opposed system to what it's supposed to be.
Man, they just treat the symptoms, no cure.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They keep putting Band-Aids on your broken leg, so you got to come back to get that Band-Aid changed every month.
Yeah.
Man, y'all better soak that arm in some Epsom salt and keep it pushing.
Growing up, it was you better drink some ginger ale and some Robitussin.
Right. Nobody playing.
But you know, that's why us as Black folks, and nurses know this too, even what would I say, genealogically or racially, we are different as far as patients. One thing that any nurse will tell you is that it's hard to get Black folks to take pills.
Yeah.
It's hard. Black people are not pill poppers. Not only are we not pill poppers, but you'll see a lot of brothers that wait till something manifests into a serious physical problem before they go and get treatment. And that's because of the soul that's inside of us. We knew deep down inside that stuff wasn't what it was supposed to be. You go run into somebody for some help when the Lord of all creation has given you the herbs of the field and has given you ways and means for you to get better.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, man. We want to keep y'all all day, but we about to close it out. Does any other brothers want to close this out in prayer?
You know, since I came in late, I'll close us out in prayer. I don't hope I'm not taking over and talking too much, but I'll close it out.
You good out.
Okay. All right, dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for once again assembling your set-aside assembly of people, Father. We thank you for the connections that have happened here, Father, and we pray that which we heard, we can retain, Father. We pray that which we hear and that which we see and read, we can apply to our lives, Father. I pray that you would order our steps in your word as we come together, Father, as we talk your word, as we understand what's going on in these seasons, Father. I pray a hedge of protection around your people right now, Father, around the assembly. I pray, Father, that you would guard us. I appropriate the 91st Psalm, Father, and I pray, Father, that no weapon formed against us shall prosper, Father. Show us how to take refuge in the shadow of your wings, Father. Show us how to hear your voice in this season, Father. That's the only thing we need to hear, Father. Direct us, guide us, keep us. Your word says that you have not given us a spirit of fear, but one of power, love, and of sound mind, Father. So we pray that you would show us how to retain that sound mind, how to operate in power, and how to do all that we do in love, Father. Your word says 1,000 may fall at our left and 10,000 at our right, but it will not come near us, Father. We receive and accept that. right now. And we pray that you would show us how to stay in this place and in a place of your grace. And we thank you. Amen.
Thank you, Father. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise you.